Good morning, everyone, from Boston, Massachusetts, in the United States of America. This is Daniel Broniatowski, the director of the Maestro Musicians Academy. We are a music school that serves a number of people. To be exact, I think we're now serving 137 families in not just the greater Boston area, but also around the United States via the World Wide Web, with students as far away as North Dakota and Baltimore, Maryland. We have locations in Greater Boston for in-person lessons in Lexington, Bedford, and Walpole. You can find out more about us by visiting any of the links in the description section of this video below. That's maestromusicianslexington.com, maestromusiciansbedford.com, and walpoleschoolofmusic.com. We offer lessons in multiple instruments. Piano is by far the most popular, and followed by a close seconds of voice, a third of guitar, and a fourth of violin. But we also offer plenty of other instruments as well. So today we are going to have a little talk about what happens if I, as a parent, have signed up for lessons, but I know nothing about music, I have zero experience, and I just don't know how to support my child. Because, let's just say, I have no idea what's being taught in the lessons, and my child comes home and says, I don't know what to practice, Mom or Dad. So this is a problem that sometimes we face. It's a problem that sometimes results from a different reason than you might think. Your first reaction, if you are encountered with this problem, might be to think that the teacher is not being specific enough, and that might be the case, and we will address that as well. But another, unfortunately, common problem is that some kids will just not want to practice, and they will say, I don't know what to do, and that's it. So you have to decide which one is the real problem. But that being said, let's talk about the first one first, which is actually a lot easier for me to solve because it doesn't involve family dynamics as much. So let's assume that a teacher was not being clear enough, or maybe the method of giving the information of what to practice is not getting to you as a parent or to your son or daughter. So what do we do? Well, the first thing, of course, is communicate with the teacher or communicate with me. We are very good at sorting this kind of problem out, and actually just a quick conversation is often all that's needed. But let's talk about methodology, about what a teacher could do to make the practicing at home situation more, well, happening, actually, to make what can make it happen. So, well, first of all, a child and parents need to know specifically what there is to practice. So when a lesson takes place, either during the course of the lesson or at the end of the lesson, a teacher will verbally often tell parents and or the students what it is that needs to be done at home. But that's often not enough, especially where kids will just kind of have things go in one ear and out the other. So I personally always recommend bringing a notebook in. Some teachers will write down notes while the lesson's happening at the end of the lesson. Other times, there's actually a desire to have parents do that while the lesson's taking place. And there are pros and cons to each of them. When a teacher writes down the notes, we're much more likely to know what specific bullet points are needed so that when a student goes home, he or she can focus on what is necessary without really taking in too much, because you can actually take in too much information during the lesson. On the other hand, if a parent is taking notes, it actually gives the teacher much more freedom to work on details and not have to be bogged down in, what am I supposed to write now? And, it slows down the teacher and breaks the flow of the lesson. That's why some teachers will wait till the end of the lesson to write down the assignments. But then, of course, so much might have been covered that we don't want to miss anything. So there's pros and cons to each. There is no right or wrong answer. And this is really a matter of style with substance. So having a notebook is very helpful. I will tell you, I have had instructors who said, bring in a tape recorder. I'm dating myself here, but they said, bring in a tape recorder and record the lesson. And, we do this sometimes with smartphones, and you can basically just record voice memos and listen to it with your child at home. There are some tedious elements of that too, because do you really want to listen to 30 minutes of your lesson, or maybe even longer, depending on how long the lesson is? But you'll catch a lot of details. And actually, for the kids who are preteens, particularly, and teens, it gives them the opportunity to listen to what they did, and also to really become self-analyzing individuals. So this is something that actually translates into many other skills in life. So as I'm telling you all these ideas, there's no one right way, but I think that they're all totally applicable. So sometimes parents also feel shy about sitting in on the lesson. They say, well, I'm worried that my son or daughter is going to feel pressured if I sit there. I don't want to disrupt the flow. And now we're getting into family dynamics. And the answer to this question is that you know your child best. And although we as a school do require that someone is in the building, you don't have to be in the lesson. It just depends on what your level and your child's level of participation will be, based on what you think is the right way. I've had parents in lessons who are talking during the lesson saying, okay, we want to make sure we get this right. Can you explain this again? And that's totally fine. We've also had parents in the lessons who were disruptive and kind of monopolized the lesson. So it just depends. It just depends on your family, and you'll have to find the happy medium. And what you'll also find is that different instructors will also respond differently to your style. And that's the way of the world. We're all different people with different ways of doing things and expression. Now, another thing which I would also advise, and this is really my last point today, because this is actually a small topic. In addition to reading through your child's notes in the notebook, it actually helps to have some elementary lessons yourself. You could have the lessons with the instructor, or you could even teach yourself a bit. I'll tell you that beginning piano for an adult is not that difficult if you teach yourself with kids' books. Yes, there are certain things that maybe should be explained, which you could probably just ask the teacher about for 30 seconds. But really, a lot of the newer books, probably the one that your kid is using, is going to be absolutely fine for teaching yourself. And so just spending really 5 minutes a week going through the material that your child is doing is probably going to at least give you a leg up. And hey, it might even bring you and your child closer together. You'll be doing it together, and you guys can even practice together at home, which I think is really a wonderful way to build cohesion in the family if it's done in the right spirit. And this is actually now getting into that topic of family dynamics, which I alluded to at the beginning of the lesson. So exactly how that works out with the family dynamics part, well, that's up to you. But I do think that these ideas will hopefully put you on the right track and give you some solid footing. And if you have any questions, whether or not it's technical in nature or just philosophical about practicing, we're always happy to hear your questions. You can write them in the comments section below as well. And if we don't get to your comments in time, you can always give us a call. You can call us before you write the comments too, that's fine. And another option is to email us. So we certainly look forward to hearing from you, and hope that you found this video useful and hopefully a little bit exciting. Inspiring is really the word. And again, this is Daniel Broniatowski from the Maestro Musicians Academy, serving Greater Boston and the World Wide Web. We are located in Greater Boston, but our main locations are in Lexington, Bedford, and Walpole. Find out more about us in the links below. And so long, until next time, everyone.